South Australia has plunged into and out of a statewide lockdown as coronavirus confusion causes chaos with people's lives and livelihoods. Also this week, the nation learned of allegations some of its best fighting force had been responsible for taking the lives of 39 Afghan civilians. This is The Week in Politics.
A growing COVID cluster in South Australia putting the Premier into a panic.
Time is now of the essence and we must act swiftly and decisively.
The first cases of community transmission since April linked to hotel quarantine and fueling fears of a Melbourne-style second wave.
We do not want to go back to shutdown.
Western Australia, Tasmania, Queensland and the Northern Territory all slamming their borders shut on South Australia. But Victoria and New South Wales standing firm.
We need to live with COVID, and every time there's an outbreak, you can't shut down borders, disrupt lives.
We've got a total of 20 cases now linked to this cluster.
Calls for calm on borders with Christmas travel in the firing line.
Please look at the results in SA. Please make sure that your response is proportionate.
The Prime Minister, meanwhile, crossing international borders for the first time since the pandemic began.
Thank you for the invitation to call you Yoshi. You're very welcome to call me ScoMo.
The two leaders signing a new defence pact for greater military cooperation, 6 years in the making.
I think we've got off to a cracker of a start.
Home, just 2 new infections in South Australia saw the Premier plunge his state into 6 days of hard lockdown.
We need a circuit breaker to stay ahead of this.
With daily exercise banned, martial's law looked to be the harshest Australia had ever seen.
I've lost a couple of grand because of government policy.
Over the top, overreaction.
On Thursday, Australia had to confront one of its harshest truths.
On behalf of the Australian Defence Force, I sincerely and unreservedly apologise
for the 39 people alleged to have been unlawfully killed by Australian troops during the war in Afghanistan.
Prisoners, farmers or other civilians. None of the alleged unlawful killings were described as being in the heat of battle. Rules were broken, stories concocted, lies told, and prisoners killed.
Effective as of midnight on Saturday, the stay-at-home order will be repealed.
A whirlwind week of COVID restrictions comes to a crashing halt. Remarkably, revelations it all could have been avoided if an infected person hadn't lied to contact tracers about having contracted the coronavirus from a takeaway pizza.
To say that I am fuming about the actions of this individual is an absolute understatement.
And he can be sure he's not the only one.
Imagine if I was getting married in South Australia tomorrow.
We just need to get home.
Lauren Darragh, Sky News, Canberra.